Well, tubers, tubettes, and the colorful collection of crazy people. Why am I buying my wife, or why am I trying to buy my wife a cornfield? Well, I'm going to get into that in the video. Actually, it's a true cornfield. I'm going to tell you what my motivations are for looking at this. I'm going to tell you the processes that I went through and whether or not I was successful or not. And I'm also going to share with you a horror story. Unfortunately, that is true. So here comes the little video. Okay, so I guess the obvious question is, why would an expat slash foreigner guy like me, who can't really legally buy a piece of property, why would I be looking at a cornfield so that I could level it down and build a house? It's because I'm a married foreigner and I have a 30-year age gap with my beautiful wife. And I am going to depart the planet way before she does. And I need to know in my heart of hearts that when that day happens, that she is set up with a roof over her head, free and clear title, in a home. It would be a modest home. We are modest people. If we were to build a house, it would be on 500 square meters probably. Probably be a 2-bedroom, 2-bath house. Simple, have a little garden, but I just want to make sure the construction is done a little bit of overkill, a little bit of overbuild, so that it lasts and doesn't have a lot of long-term issues, like the house I'm living in now that I'm renting. We don't want to repeat this place. So anyway, that's the motivation for me wanting to buy this cornfield. Where did I find a cornfield? Well, prices of land has escalated crazy in the last 3 or 4 years. 3 years, I'd say. They are averaging about 1,500 pesos to 3,000 pesos per square meter. It's pretty strong. People say that that's because so many expats are moving out here and they're driving up the prices because they're coming in and just willing to pay full boat. That may be true, or maybe part of it. I also think that's part of it, and I think it's just good old-fashioned inflation has been driving up the goods and services of everything, and real estate's been following. So, expat or no expats, I still think the price of land would have elevated. Maybe not at quite as quick a pace as we're experiencing now. So, back in the day, I could have picked up something for 300 a square meter. And now we're going 10 times that in some cases, 3,000 a square meter. So I haven't really been looking. We see it online. I've gone out and I've checked out my friends that are building houses, and I see what they've paid for the land, and it's all pretty much about the same. 1,500, 2,000, you name it. And they're building their homes, and they have the ability to do that, and God bless them. And they're doing a good job. They're building like to American standards, so it'll stand longer. It's more sturdy, and it's more functional at the end of the day. And that's just what I wanted to duplicate. But so far, it hasn't been affordable. But May's brother came along a couple months ago and said, hey, my coworker just inherited this big chunk of land, and she wants to sell it. And they're making a subdivision out of it. And it's only 900 pesos per square meter. And would you like to go look at it? And I thought, yeah, what the hell? Let's go look at it. And I said, come on, May, let's go. She said, all right. So off we go. And we go up into the hills, and we're driving along, and everything's good so far because it's elevated, which is what I like, which is where I'm living now, elevated, cooler. We turn left onto a dirt road off the main road. Okay, that's pretty normal. But then the road turned into like a horse path. We had to abandon the car And right then and there, I thought, oh man, I'm on another wild goose chase here. This is nonsense. But I kept my mouth shut. I said, in for a penny, in for a pound. Let's go see what's happening here. So we walked up the trail, wasn't very far, and lo and behold, turned the corner, and there it was. They had actually carved out a road at the subdivision beginning and ending. It wasn't paved, it was a dirt road, but it was a nice road. And sure enough, there was this big-ass cornfield. And it had been marked off with markers, very professionally, metal, numbered, etc. They had a schematic, a diagram of the parcels, their shape, their sizes, etc. And like I said, they were going for $900 a square for the 1,500 square. And they also had a 2,000 square foot piece at the end. And it was going, because it was bigger, for $750. And so we looked at it, and I heard the dreaded words from the woman's mouth, which was mother title. I won't bore you with the details of a mother title. I'll just give you a quick overview. Is that a mother title is the original title. And this one was probably, like most, about 120 years old. First person that acquired the property and had the first real legal claim to the property. That person has since died, and all the heirs, all the children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, all have claim to that property. They all have to sign off on it. Some of them have died, some of them have moved away, some you can't find, some won't sign. So usually the words mother title means big problems. And I heard that. And she was assuring us that that was getting squared away. And it makes it hard, but it doesn't make it impossible. And I thought, well, you know what? It's no hill for the climber. If nothing else, I will keep an open mind to this, because the young lady that was showing us the property, I just trusted her. And she didn't look like she was she wasn't getting a commission or anything. She had actually bought one of the parcels, the one with the best view, of course. She's kind of bragging about that. And she was helping her friend. And I'm sure she was getting some sort of kickback or commission. God bless her, she should, for taking the time. And as we looked at the property, I fell more and more and more in love with it, because it was this beautiful cornfield. And I have very fond memories of cornfields as a child, when I would go visit my grandfather with my father in Muscatina, Iowa. I always liked that farm living, and I always liked cornfields. So there you have it. I like cornfields. And I thought, man, it would be awesome. I started daydreaming about buying that 2,000 square meter place, using 500, and building us our little simple house. And then May's got 3 more parcels that she can do what she wants to with when I'm gone. Meanwhile, I can sit in my house and look at my cornfield and enjoy that, and plant some other vegetables. I'm going to become a big gardener one of these days. So the numbers worked out like this. 2,000 square meters were $750 per meter. That's 1,500,000 pesos, or 27,000 USD. Okay. The 1,500 square meter at 900 pesos was 1,350,000, or 24,500 USD. Okay. Made sense to me to go with the bigger lot with the lower price, because it's only another 1,000 or 2. And, you know, if you're going to do it, let's do it to where it makes the most sense. However, this title thing really had me bothered. Not to mention that the road going in, remember my little cow path or horse trail I told you about we had to walk? That was what's called a barangay road. Now, if it's a barangay road, that's awesome, because a barangay is like a neighborhood, if you don't know. And every barangay has a barangay captain. And his or her job as barangay captain is primarily to settle disputes among neighbors before it gets escalated to the next level and needs to go to the police or to the courts. They're kind of like a mediator. They also have funds that are sent to each barangay are allocated for improvements. It's like a basketball court. It's hard to drive through my barangay. Well, you can't drive through my barangay without seeing a basketball court. That was paid for by those funds. We are also having our road that's in front of our house right now has been tore up for about the last 6 months, it feels. Yeah, about that. And they're putting water pipes underground. And they're starting to seal it up, and it's actually starting to look good and look better. So that would be the same case if it indeed is a barangay road. At some point in the future, that thing would get carved out. Would it get paved? I don't know. That's anybody's guess. That's another one of the anomalies out here and fears that I have of buying out in the woods, as I call it. Excuse me. So, that being said, one second, kids. All right. So, I said, you know what? I think this is worth pursuing. I like it so much. The price is so right. It looks so organized. I don't feel like the woman is trying to pull the wool over my eyes. May had a good feeling about it. May liked it. And we both walked away saying, I said, how do you feel about this? Being legal and all that. And May said 50-50. I said, yeah, so do I. So I called my friend Michael, over at Veritas Group. And he's a guy that sets up foreigners like me with people that we need. And we don't know who to call because we don't know what we're talking about or what we're doing. And so I called Michael up and I said, hey man, I'm looking at buying some land. Do you have a guy that can go out there and do due diligence for us as far as this titling of the property? He said, absolutely. I'm going to put my fellow Roy on it for you, and he should know in about 2 weeks. Well, we got an email, and I will read it to you. And it says, good day, Sir Paul. When buying a portion property, see to it that there should be an approved subdivision plan before buying, especially if more than 9 parcels of sublots. In your case, it's more than 9 parcels. The lot owner will be required to apply HLURD license to sell, Housing and Land Use Regulatory Board, 18 sublots, including road, unless there was an EJS and partition executed by the heirs and an approved subdivision is already available, then let me check on those so I can recommend you to proceed or not. Well, he checked. And he said not. None of this has happened. We did forward this email to the selling parties so that they are made aware of it. I don't think that they are doing anything where they're trying to rip anybody off. I know I've said that probably once before. I felt a good feeling about the people, and I still do. I just think that they may be a little, I guess I'll use the word ignorant of the law, like I am. I'm extremely ignorant when it comes to this. And I think they just don't know. I don't think they're getting good counsel. So I'm going to go into a hypothetical. Right now, we're at the point where we're back to ground zero. We're just, that's not viable. But I did forward the email, like I said. Maybe it'll come back, maybe it'll change in time. I've also heard that a couple of guys have bought lots out there. And so I'm wondering, I wonder if they did their due diligence like old Roy here did for me. By the way, just to share with you, Roy did all of that for $20, 1,000 pesos. In my mind, I could have spent 27,000 just diving in and saying, oh, it's great. I love cornfields. I'll take it. You want it, baby? Yeah, okay. Let me be a big shot. Half down now, half down later. Sure. Okay, here's $13,000. No. I spent an entire 1,000 pesos to prevent me from losing, well, potentially 27,000. The road. Is it going to be a Barangay Road? Would have been my next step. I don't know. So where are we from this point forward? We are going to continue to look. One thing that made me so acutely aware of the need to do due diligence when buying anything is you can trust but always verify. In this case, I used Roy from the Veritas Group. I have a real life story that will drive that point home. 4 or 5 months ago, before I started this expedition, I was having coffee with a subscriber from Australia at Tom Tom's Coffee down on the boulevard. Super sweet guy, great sense of humor, great conversation. Only got an opportunity to meet him once, and then he was off to somewhere else. But he told me his story. He had been in the Philippines for 3 weeks. And guess what? He fell in love. Go figure, right? Met the woman of his dreams. And so he has deep pockets. He didn't say that, but it was apparent. And so he said, I want to buy a house. I'm going to buy a house for you. Kind of like the same motivation I have for May. He wanted to buy this woman a house, make sure she's never homeless. So they look at 4 or 5 houses. He finds one that he loves. It's priced right. So he just pays cash for it. He goes, I'll take it. And it was owned by a foreigner. Signs his name, goes to some lawyer. They do this transfer thing. He feels confident that it's all correct and legal because he doesn't know. And handed over his hard-earned money. About 2 weeks into the house, he starts to think about there's all this empty land around me. And he sees that the lot next door is empty and a number of lots across the street are empty. And he had no desire to buy a bunch of land in order to flip it and make money. He wanted to buy the land just to control his environment. He thought, I really like this house. I really like the neighborhood. But I don't think I would like it too much if the guy next door to me that buys the lot next door builds a piggery. Or the people across the way decide to do karaoke every weekend, like my neighbors do. So he decided, he asked around. He goes, how do I find out about these lots? And some other expat told him, well, you got to get a surveyor out there to look. So he goes to ABC Survey Company, wherever. Surveyor goes out, surveys those lots, and as a bonus, surveyed his house too, just to clarify the boundary lines. Surveyor says, I got some really bad news for you. And my Australian friend said, what's that? And he says, this house that you're in was supposed to be built on the house to the left of you. You're in the wrong spot. And he says, how did that happen? He said, apparently the guy that built the house, the other foreigner you bought from, didn't bother to get a survey. And survey's about $200. So he got snookered. The first guy got snookered, bought the land, built the house, and then the owner came along, said, hey, you're on my land. And the foreigner, instead of being a stand-up guy, he just put it up for sale. And unfortunately, my friend had only been in country 3 weeks, eyes wide open and deep in love. He bought it from him. That guy spanked it out of town and left him holding the proverbial bag. I don't know where that ended up. I haven't seen him since. When I did talk to him, he said he was trying to negotiate buying the other land or paying more for the land he's on. In other words, money talks. And he figured that hopefully they could agree on a number and he could just stay put and the owner would be happy and he would be able to sleep at night. Because he said he kept looking over the horizon, waiting for the bulldozers to come every night to tear down his house. So, That's the dealio. That's what we are doing. And I just kind of wanted to share this because so many guys out here are building houses. And I commend them. I congratulate them. I salute them. They're doing great jobs. But I'm confident that they did just what I spoke of, that they did their due diligence. They checked with the professionals that know how to check. A great lawyer that can, or surveyor, or a title researcher guy like Roy that is on the caper, and you spend a few bucks and you save thousands. All right, kids, that's our story. I'm sticking to it. I'll see you in the next video.